Hello, chaps. Today we're reading. Let's read. No, we're not exactly going to be reading this. I'm going to do my Greg Huffman's book report, not dratsab's book report. Just, jeez. See the humidity, man? It's already like fogging up. Let me ameliorate this just a bit. Ugh, gross, you can see my face now. Oh, horrible. It needs to put it back. No, just, it's the trade-off. You have to deal with this, but then you can see the pages. We have little icicles up here. Jesus, what is this? Anyway, this has been on my to-read list for I don't know how long. But recently, I think it was Jacob. There's this YouTube guy that does like video game analysis called Jacob Geller, and he recently talked about this. And so that in itself probably wouldn't have made me just rush out and buy it, but I went to Target, man, and hold on, this car coming by. Alright, so I was walking around Target, and just in the book section, and you know, like places like Walmart, and oh my god, it's gonna be eternally annoying. It did just rain, see, it's actually kind of rather nice out, but the problem is how it interacts with the camera, just like the humidity just gets all out. Here's a beautiful spot out in the boondocks, you know, but yeah, fog constantly, ever unrelentingly. Oh, beautiful, yeesh. But yeah, I was at Target, and you never see really good books at Walmart and Target. Ever so often, like I was at the DG once, you know, the Dollar General, and I actually found this $3 book of one of Mick Foley's books. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, you know, and I ended up buying it just because he's a wrestler, but his way of writing is, you know, pretty good. He talks about, well, anyway, I don't want to get into that. That's like a whole thing. Actually, I do have one of his books. It's a different one, not the one I bought in there, that I might do an analysis on very soon after I finish this one. I haven't quite finished this one. I was actually thinking about finishing it before I started doing this, but I was like, you know, it's in line with how I'm doing these. I was like, I like to kind of like just jump in the middle of reading it even before I'm finished, you know, because just, I'm sure like there's so many people that have analyzed this book, and much better than I will do it here, but at least here you can just, you know, it's my, you know, whatever, fucking diarrhea, just ejaculations, blah, just, yeah, whatever. Okay, so here's the book. A slim volume of terrifying power. If I this fucking thing will, oh my god, this is awful. That'll teach me to do this out in the rain. I do appreciate how small it is. It reminds me of like the Sam Harris's book on free will. And then like it says, what is this? Beyond criticism. We'll see, buddy. We'll see. A. Alvarez. That is your real name. And there's the author, I guess, Elie Wiesel. Yeah. Alright, so one thing I noticed is, actually, I always keep these notes just on my phone to talk about. It's like this, or in the intro, it doesn't say, there's a saying associated with the Holocaust. It's here, ice kind warm, if I am pronouncing that incorrectly. This is, here there is no why. He doesn't say that specifically in this book. I can't remember exactly who that comes from. Is it, no, it's not Viktor Frankl, I don't think. Well, A Man's Search for Meaning. That which provides light must endure burning. That's a Viktor Frankl quote, I believe. Well, but he talks about in this book, you know, we need a new language to explain how horrible this fucking thing was, you know. Yeah, should I just like hold the book up here? Bitch, this is the book. Alright, let's look at these notes. Yeah, one thing interested me at the time, you know, when he was talking to people as this show was going on, because I think he got captured in like 1942, is at the time people were just so indifferent to how World War II was going, you know. It's like, we don't want to talk about this shit, like it was just not of interest. People just had this apathy or indifference to things, and it makes me think of like events now. It's like, how are we going to talk about the events that are happening now in the future, you know? It's like so many people just want to avoid these subjects, you know. It's like right when you're in the heat of it, you're in the eye of the fucking hurricane, man. But then when you're when you're way past that, you know, you can look back on shit and analyze it, you know, and it just interests me. Just, I don't know, the way he said it, you know, it doesn't seem, it seems like almost like a truism in certain cases, but the way he said it, just, you know, oh, you're right, you know, it's like, well, you don't think about the past like that. Just like the people who were in the past, how they analyzed it at the time is a fascinating thing, and you can compare it to today's moments, you know. So what else? Annoyed. Yeah, people, they said they were annoyed when people speak critically of it. So I didn't write the page number down for that. There are a few things I'm going to show from the book, a few passages and stuff, but that's not one of them. Oh yeah, and so when the Germans first showed up, it was in Transylvania, I believe. Was it Signet or Siget or something was the name of the town he was in? I can see if he mentions it. He ended up in Buchenwald, though. Here, I'll go ahead and show the back. Yeah. So for those that want to read, you don't like pause it if you want to. But I don't even have any subscribers. I just do this basically to talk to myself. Siget, Transylvania. So yeah, I was in Transylvania, so that's cool. Fucking Vlad the Impaler. I don't even think, well, I'm sure Hungarian, all that though. But yeah, these. Oh yeah, so the Germans show up, and they were billeted in these houses, and this German, you know, gave the person he was staying with these chocolates, and they were like, "See, you're fucking." I can't remember if he was talking. It wasn't the main guy, but you know the. Sorry, I'm like all over the place. This is why I'm never gonna get paid to do this. But this is for my own vanity to just talk about books and never get subscribers and all that jazz. Alright, so, but anyway, they were billeted at their house and they brought these chocolates and be like, see, you cynical son of a bitches, they're nice guys after all. And you were worried they were going to throw us in fucking jails and make us all political prisoners, but did they? Not at the time. What do you wink? Okay, I'll show. Oh yeah, so, but when they were first thrown in the ghettos, I was about to say the ghettos. The ghetto! When they were first thrown in the ghettos, they actually, he says the Jews kind of appreciated it because they were locked off. They had like a corner house, the main dude, Elie Wiesel and his family, Marion, who was it? That was his wife. No, I can't remember his dad's name, god damn it. But he was like with his dad, and I can't remember how his other family was. But they were on this corner house. It was like, I'm not gonna, you know what a fucking corner looks like, right? I guess. That's how I picture it in my head, at least. They were on this corner, and, oh yeah, and there was this dude that was like knocking at their window, and he said he found out later he could have maybe saved himself because it was this dude supposed to inform him when trouble shows up. He's like, Knox, man. There's a few cases of that where he talks about, oh man, we just found out that like right after we left, the fucking place was liberated. Man, that must like, dude, this just like shit like that gets to me, man. I'll like, you know, just. What's the word for it? Just be fixated on shit like that. Like, man, if I would have just done this way, this thing could have been totally different, man. It's just like, and the stakes are so much higher, you know, when the fucking Holocaust is involved, you know, obviously. So, but when they were living there, they did kind of enjoy it because they were locked in, but outsiders that would judge them and give them the hateful stare, anti-Semitic people, they didn't have to be around those people, and they found it kind of just refreshing that it was just among their own people. They just had this little Jewish council going, I think his dad was a part of that. But he had a chance to move, man. He tried to get his dad, like, let's just move and, let's start anew somewhere else. His dad's like, no, I don't want to start fresh, I've put time in here. And it's like, you never know if his dad was just, like, if he knew how bad it was going to get, or if he was just, some people just seem resigned to their fate, and how people like that definitely, especially when you're so tied to them, you're so rooted to them, and you're inextricable from that kind of a person, Yeah. Anyway, it's such a great pluvial day out. See, beautiful. Well, look at those leaves, how they're different from all the others. Beautiful. I love it out here. We have some pups over there, but anyway. Yeah, we found some puppies the other day. We're not gonna talk about wildlife right now. Okay, I'm gonna show you some passages, a few passages. Let me find, I wrote down the page numbers. I'm still working on this book report thing. I'm just talking to myself in the future. How are you, Greg? Are you enjoying watching yourself? Yes, you are. Freak. Fucking narcissist. Okay, So let's start with page motherfucking 20s. I didn't. I'm just gonna show you about that. I have a million thoughts all coming out of this. Should we talk about this? Alright, so somewhere on this page, this woman started crying, started getting to doze again. Look at the fire. See, she keeps going on about this fire, man. And they're like, do they tell her, like, shut up? Yeah, they're like, keep her quiet. Make that mad woman shut up. Filthy harridan. That termagant. Virago. A few more days. Almost would have started to scream. But we were pulling into a station. Someone near a window read to us, Auschwitz. And they're like, oh shit, Auschwitz. Nobody had ever heard that name. But yeah, this woman just goes on about this, Mrs. Schachter, I think is, yeah, that's who. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So, let's see another page. Oh yeah, her son was all despondent. She was tied up, that's right, she was tied up and beaten. I think they talk about on this page, mate. Excuse them all. Oh yeah, and then, yeah. It would remind me of the fat guy from Shawshank Redemption, you know, where they're like, I can't remember that dude, but it's the dude that wears that silly hat, and he was like, he goes, hey fat ass, blah 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 blah, and then gets them all riled up, and then fucking Morgan Freeman's like, man, I could've made money for that fucking tall ass spoon up his ass guy, freaked out. Alright, so, god damn it, 29, Forever Deported. Oh yeah, Forever Deported, you see someone, so there's someone here I was going to show. Every few yards. Men to live. Oh, yeah. This is like is it Sophie's Choice kind of a thing? There's someone here with him. 8 simple words. Yet that was the moment when I left my... Oh, so he was with his mother. Okay. He doesn't talk about it. Oh, yeah, he did. That's right. He talks about the family he lost. And he saw his dad killed right in front of him. He's with him for a while in the story. He hasn't even died where I'm at, but he's close to it. Saw them walking further and further away, stroking my mother's blonde hair. Their protection. I walked on with my father, with the men. I didn't know that was the moment in time and the place where I was leaving my mother and Zipporah forever. And he walked off with his father holding his hand. Dude, I think about that too. I mean, I do remember a few times I'll think back, because I keep this journal where I pretty much journal every day since 2016, and I think about those moments of, like, not just when I first met somebody, but when was the last time I saw somebody that's in my life, and just kind of, I don't know, it's, if not depressing, certainly melancholy, atrabilious, you know, is the faggy way to put it. Yeah. But I don't know. I do think about the moments like that, like synchronicity. What are you doing when somebody else's life is happening at the same time? Like, where are they right now? People you thought about, like, oh, I saw that person walking the other day. What are they doing now? I don't know. I just think about these things. You'll never really know, and it might seem trivial. I'm not saying it's profound or anything, but it's just interesting to think about, like, people's life courses, you know, and like what's going on in other people's lives. We just have an interest in psychology and just the mystery of how life all goes together, and just, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Shouldn't have turned off that page, actually, because here's a really disturbing scene, one of the more disturbing, if I can turn it, scenes in this book. Where is it? Oh shit, this thing's all crooked. I think it's on this page, heading for the crematorium. A truck drew close. Small children, babies. Yes, I did see this with my own eyes. Children thrown into the flames. Is it any wonder that ever since then, sleep tends to elude me? Reminds me of the word dysthenia. That's a different thing, kind of. Yeah, was I still alive? Was I awake? How was it possible that men, women, and children were being burned, that the world kept silent? No, all this could not be real. A nightmare, perhaps. Soon I would wake up with a start, my heart pounding, and find that I was back in the room of my childhood with my books. Yeah, man, it's just like, it reminds me, actually, you know, just this whole thing. There's a saying, you never find atheists in foxholes. But then the counter-argument to that is, well, that's not an argument against atheists, that's an argument against foxholes. But then you look at something like the Holocaust, and it turned religious people into atheists. It's like to see this, and there's this really, I always fuck up this quote. There's a really good quote, and it says, if I die and I find that God exists, I'm going to make him answer, for what he let happen. He's going to have a lot of explaining to do. And that's kind of powerful. I was like, you're just like, yeah, he's all powerful, but you had so much power. The Spider-Man quote, I'm not going to quote it, but it's like you had all this power to do something if you existed, and you just let this fucking happen. It's like, I don't care that I'm a fucking peasant. Like, why would you do this? God, you just had to feel like God's such a piece of shit while witnessing that he couldn't ever care. Like, what good is prayer? Like that, I've told people that, it's like, what good is praying if, people in the Holocaust were just let the most abominable shit, happen with. I don't believe in karma, it's like fucking Anne Frank died at 15, and fucking like people like Rupert Murdoch lived to be hundreds and have so many resources and just get these, traditionally successful lives. It's like, there's no karma in this world, man. It's just, you can't believe in karma. Not consistently. Like, how can you say there's karma in the world if it's that inconsistent? It's like you're only going to believe in karma the few times it seems to play out that way. I mean, that's just a game of chance. If karma isn't consistent, then it's no better than a game of chance, which of course the world runs on chance, but that's not an argument for karma. Even if a few cases of karma seem to exist in the world, it just plays out that way statistically, Alright, what's the other one I was going to show? Oh, here's another fucked up one about kids. I don't know, I don't know. It's easy to be desensitized to this shit, what on the internet is endless amounts of news. Let's wait for this car to pass and I'll show you what's on this page. Yeah, so like, this guy, there's a little terms about this, like Lego All-State and stuff, the people get the capos and stuff. But yeah, this kid got put to death. The two men were longer alive. Their tongues were hanging out, swollen and bluish. Look at this kid, but the third rope was still moving. The child, too light, was still breathing. So that even though it hung him, it didn't kill him because he was so small. He just sat there, so for half an hour, lingering between life and death, writhing before our eyes, and we were forced to look at him at close range. He was still alive when I passed him. His tongue was still red, his eyes not yet extinguished. Behind me, I heard this same man asking, "For God's sake, where is God exactly?" And from within me, I heard a voice answer, "Where he is. This is where, hanging here from this gallows." That night, the soup tasted of corpses. Yeah, that pretty much just follows up on what I just said. So many people lost their faith, including the author, Elie Wiesel, who was a believer. Yeah, I mean, it's hard if you really believe in a personal God, Like, yeah, if you're like a deist, and you just believe in a clockwork God, sure, you can keep believing, or maybe a pantheist, which is essentially the same thing. It's just like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to go into I do love philosophy, but I'm not going to get... Alright, Julie. There's a few more scenes I can show before This is beautifully flattering angle, brother. Alright, let's go to 95. Here, just to ratchet up the fucking... Let's go. 90 fucking 5. Alright. On 95, there's this guy named Juliet. I can't remember his full story. It had to be Juliet. And he's hearing a fragment of his music where he's playing, it'll say his instrument, I guess, Beethoven Concerto. And, oh yeah, he wasn't allowed to play that. Like, Jews weren't allowed to play German music because it was like an insult to darkness enveloped. All I could hear was the violin. And it was if Juliet's soul had become his bow. He was playing his life. His whole being was gliding over the strings. His unfulfilled hopes, his charred past, his extinguished future. He played that which he would never play again. I shall never forget Juliet. How could I forget this concert given for an audience of the dead and dying? Even today, when I hear that particular piece by Beethoven, my eyes close, and out of the darkness emerges the pale and melancholy face of my Polish comrade, bidding farewell to an audience of dying men. I don't know how long he played. I was overcome by sleep. When I woke at daybreak, I saw Juliet facing me, hunched over, dead. Next to him lay his violin, trampled, an eerily poignant little corpse. Yeah, that almost, it's weird because that early happening, it's hard to picture exactly, like, how much of that he imagined and shit, It seems very literary, but I have to take it as, it's classified as nonfiction, so to a certain degree that actually happened, man. But it's crazy when you have like these almost like symbolic things happening in real life. It's like that's how the interesting thing about like movie cliches, is like it's like too good to be true. So when a movie cliche happens in a fiction book, it's trashy. But when it happens in real life, it's like the opposite of a beautiful thing. Because the whole point is the book. It's like, oh, you like this whole convoluted shit. But convoluted shit can happen in real life too. It's just more rare, and so it's more interesting when movie cliches actually happen in reality. Stranger than fiction, as they say. All right, one more, and then we'll call this a wrap. Ish. Alright, let's close to where I was. Like I said, I haven't quite finished this book, but that's kind of like my MO, man. Alright, so let's show the one final beautiful shot of my visage, my countenance. That was faggy. That was, so pretentious and not whatever. Let's go to the left. Alright, let's go a little bit here. Let me just orient myself. At least my camera's not fogging up anymore. But it's like, we received no food, blah, blah, blah. And then this dude throws in 3 full days. Occasionally pass. Come to a stop. A worker took a piece of bread out of his bag and threw it into a wagon. There was a stampede. Dozens of starving men fought desperately over a few crumbs. The worker watched the spectacle with great interest. When everything's spectacle now, because I originally saw Nope, I think of that. Nope. Spectacle. Years later, I witnessed a similar spectacle in Aden. Our ship's passengers amused themselves by throwing coins to the natives, who drove to retrieve them. An elegant Parisian lady took great pleasure in this game. When I noticed 2 children desperately fighting in the water, one trying to strangle the other, I implored the lady, "Please, don't throw any more coins," to which she replied, "Why not?" said she. "I like to give charity." Charity.